Welcome to the Save Par Golf Podcast, where two average golfers talk about golf and things. I'm your host, Eric.
I'm Dominic.
We are currently on episode 32, and we have a special guest on today. We have Ryan with All Access. If you don't follow them on Instagram, make sure to hit that follow button. They're a travel company that is designed for the avid golfer experience seeker. The Instagram handle is at All Access GTE. Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us on our podcast.
No problem, boys. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. We love travel. We love golf. So this could be the best episode yet.
I love that. Well, you also got me at average golfer. I'm a below average golfer.
Oh, same here.
But
same here.
That's the beautiful thing about golf. We can suck at it and still enjoy it.
Absolutely. We had a chance to talk before we hopped on, and super excited about this episode. There's so much to talk about. We said we could talk for hours, but kind of want to get an idea of what All Access is all about and how it started. If you could just give us a little bit of the background.
Sure. I'm a former athlete, and when the career kind of fizzled out, the chances of me continuing that path was no longer there. I had to get a real job, and I got hired by some big company based in London. And my job was basically just getting on the phone, pounding out cold calls, but I was selling sporting events. So for me, it was kind of a good segue.
Sure.
So I was selling things like the Super Bowl, the Final Four, the Masters, US Open golf, tennis, that kind of stuff. And I fell in love with doing it. And candidly, it's the only job I've ever had. So after a handful of years of doing that for the other company, I started my own company, which is obviously All Access. And the first handful of years, it was really about the events. I'd say that it was probably 60-40 golf to other sports. Kentucky Derby and things like that were still pretty relevant for us. And then I went to watch the Ryder Cup at Gleneagles in Scotland. And wow. I was not a big golfer, but I played my first round of golf overseas, and it happened to be at a little place called Carnoustie. And I absolutely fell in love with not only the game, but the game over there. So what ended up happening is I came home from that trip, and the company that helped me do that trip, I ended up buying and merging it in with All Access. So currently what All Access does is we have two arms of the business. One sells custom packages to sporting events all over the world. And it's not just golf. It's the Grand Prix of Monaco. It is, the rugby, you name it, we can do it. But there's a very heavy golf push, clearly.
Sure.
So that the other arm of the business then does custom bespoke trips, golf trips all over the world, from Australia, New Zealand to South Africa, to the Mecca of golf, which is obviously Scotland and Ireland. So that's what we do on a daily basis. So the cool thing is I get to nerd out and talk about golf and sports every day. And when I take golf trips, I tell my wife it's for work.
That's a bonus right there.
Yeah.
So when you have these, you get these clients or these customers, do you get to experience all these trips ahead of time, or so you have something to talk about so you can give them the deets, of hey, this is where you want to go?
It's funny. It's one of those things where when I first got in the industry, I was selling events that I've still never been to. And it didn't seem very authentic. And now with All Access and obviously having control of my own business, I'd say that the majority of the people that are on the phones talking to clients and delivering these types of experiences to people have been there to experience it themselves. Now, you don't need to play every top golf course in Ireland to be able to sell a trip to Ireland, but it sure as hell helps.
Absolutely.
And especially, again, when you can take a golf trip and say it's work. So yeah, we most of us, the entire company is comprised of golf nerds, ex-golf pros, guys that are members of the best golf clubs in America. We are a very, very heavy golf nerd business.
Where are you located?
I'm right outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
So I was a New York City guy for 16, 17 years. And my wife made me move to the suburbs. And so we live about 25 minutes just east of Philly. And in golf terms, I'm about 25, 30 minutes away from Pine Valley, where I'm sitting right here in South New Jersey.
Oh, so you're not too far at all.
No.
Are you, you were kind of mentioning all the different employees. So as far as business wise, is it considered a small company or a large business?
No, I think overall we're a small business. The fact is that pre-pandemic, there was a handful of us, people that were kind of driving sales, and we had some operational support staff. And what we have found is through the pandemic, it was the first time since I started the company that we were able to finally slow down and take a little bit of a look, under the hood, so to speak.
Sure.
And we came out of the pandemic a much stronger business than we were going into it, which is ironic, being that we couldn't do any golf trips and we couldn't go any sporting events. But we've grown massively in the last 2 years. We've doubled our revenue every year the last couple of years, and we're on pace to double it again this year. We've quadrupled our staff over the last 18 months. In fact, we are moving into a new office because we outgrew the existing office. And you guys will be happy to know I'm putting in a full swing sim in the office.
That's a must. That's a must.
No, but here's the problem. If I still suck after having a swing sim in my office, I'm just going to start playing tennis.
Just pick up a different sport. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm convinced that being good on a simulator is very different than being good because when you're in a simulator, there's nothing stopping you from having a weird lie or
you kind of always have
the weird gust of wind or
unless you put a big fan out there.
You try it.
That's true.
I don't want to mess up my hair up when I'm swinging.
Hey.
You're just talking about COVID and how you guys have actually kind of been able to kind of almost hit the brakes a little bit and see since all the travel restrictions have lifted, have you seen has it been even busier than before?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that golf right now is in the roaring 20s. I think that we have a 3 to 5 year window where golf is going to continue growing. The game is growing, inclusion and, all the things that you see out there around the game of golf right now. But it's also, COVID taught us a lot. It taught us to not push off that bucket list, the trip that I wanted to always take with my father that I probably won't be able to take anymore. I wish I had done it. And I think that the pandemic really had people take, kind of look at what's important and not push it off anymore. So I think the bucket list trips, I've always wanted to, well, screw it. Now I'm doing it. I think that's really there. The other thing that I think people discount is for the people that kept their jobs during COVID, nobody spent money. Mm-hmm. A lot of companies and a lot of affluent individuals, there wasn't a lot to do. So I think people have a bit of money burning a hole in their pocket right now. And truth be told, we can't keep up. We're trying to hire literally every day, trying to get new people in here because we just can't keep up with the demand. In fact, our biggest issue right now is that the inventory, everybody wants to go to Ireland, Scotland, and England to play golf, and getting the primo tee times is extremely difficult right now.
So I work in the running industry, in like a retail setting. Track season just started, marathon season starting here, and we're seeing a lot of the same issues with inventory. People are coming in, they're buying 2 or 3 pairs of shoes at a time, and all of a sudden I don't have anything like a men's 10. Yeah. Is that kind of like what's happening with you guys, where it's like, hey, we're selling everything hand over fist, and now it's like, now we're just kind of waiting, because that's...
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a similar comparison. I think the big issue, and when you really think about it, is people in 2019 booked trips for the summer of 2020. Mm-hmm. Well, those didn't happen. So those trips were now rolled over to 2021. But throughout 2020, people assumed the pandemic would be over for 2021. So they started selling tee times for 2021 as well. Mm-hmm. Well, then now we have got 2 full years of tee times that didn't happen in 2021 until very late. So now 2 full years are now rolled over to 2022. And keep in mind that, the big 3 courses that are requested every day, we talk about Royal County Down, Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland, which the photo there, you guys can obviously see that's County Down. And then obviously the old course of St. Andrews in Scotland. And St. Andrews is hosting the Open. So they're shut down for almost a full month anyhow. So they've got 2 full years of tee times that were rolled over to it, and they're shut down because of the Open. Wow. So inventory is just a nightmare. So, the advice I tell everybody is if you want to take that bucket list trip, and obviously it's Ireland is generally number 1, Scotland 2, England 3 in the pecking order of where our people request to go. Instead of booking it, 9 months to a potential year in advance, you're booking it right now in hopes of getting a decent tee time in 2023 already.
So when you, let's say, for example, me and Don, we wanted to take a trip out to Ireland.
Yeah. We're going to Scotland.
Scotland. Okay. We want to reach out to you.
Yep.
What is, what is your niche as far as you take care of the golf, like we list maybe some courses, or do you take, how does that work? Like flights, everything.
That's a great question. Two things. Number one is that we can do as much or as little as you need us to do. If that means you just want a tee time, cool. We'll give you a tee time. If you want everything with private chefs and celebrity appearances and a private jet taking you all the way to Scotland, we'll do that too. The key for us is that we are not the typical tour operator. That's the industry term for what we do. We're a tour operator. We're not that. We don't sell golf trips. We sell golf experiences. And I think that it sounds cheesy and maybe even a bit cliche, but I think there's a very specific distinction here. Whereas a golf trip is a tee time, it is a hotel room, and maybe it's some transportation. We don't do that. Depending on you, the people coming, is it couples? Is it golf centric guys that just want to rip out their top 100 list? Is it people that want to do 36 a day? Is it an older crew? Is it a party crew? There's so many different nuances that we're going to plan a trip according to what your needs are. So you might think you know what you want. We've got people come to us and say, hey, I want to play Old Head, then I want to go play Portrush. I'm like, all right, cool. That's, it's a 6-hour drive. You really want to do that in back-to-back days. So we have to really hold our hand. But the key too is that when you go overseas, whether it's Ireland, Scotland, New Zealand, it doesn't matter. Golf is just a small part of what you're doing over there. I mean, the golf's what's bringing you, but it's the stories on the bus rides. It's the locker room environment. It's all the different nuances that every club that has to offer. It's the who's got the best halfway house and where'd you drink the most, on the 19th hole. We'll tell you what pub to go to. We'll tell you what hole to take the best photograph from. So we want to create an entire experience, not just plan your golf trip. And I think that's the nuance. So if you guys called me for that trip, we'd really work through what's important to you, and we'd build a custom itinerary based on that information.
Very cool. I like that. We were on your website kind of scrolling through, and you can pick which country you want to travel to. Very well laid out. You can either request a quote, or it kind of just has a starting package of a starting point. Let's talk about maybe the Masters, for example, right? So, I've been trying to get into the Masters just like everyone else.
Yeah.
Lottery selection, you don't get selected.
Shocker.
Exactly. Pretty much everyone else. We want to have the time of our lives bucket list trip to the Masters. How does that work? We want to play maybe a couple courses around there. And I know it's so hard to get out there. How does that work for you guys on that side?
So first and foremost, when you're talking about things happening down in Augusta, Georgia, you got to follow. There's so many rules and regulations about doing it the right way. Okay. So you're always a little, you got to make sure you're towing the line the right way.
Okay.
So we help lots of people, a lot of people who win lottery, a lot of people who can go on and source their own tickets. But we have, hospitality facility down there where we do food and beverage, and we can supply the celebrity guests. And, my buddy, Steve Elkington, the Australian golfer, who is one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. He'll come in and have a drink with some of the clients and hang out. We have tee times all over the area, and there's some exceptional golf down there. So we can basically build comprehensive packages for people to enjoy themselves. But the ticketing is a bit of a nightmare. There's no two ways about it. It's a real issue. And clearly getting down there to enjoy that is something every golfer should experience at some point. We can try to help as much as we can with that.
Okay. So would you source the tickets, or is that on the group per se?
It really, really depends. Because again, you want to follow all the rules and regulations about what's happening there. We can help point people in the right direction. We can help facilitate everything from soup to nuts down there.
Okay.
But again, it's one of those things where you want to make sure that you're following the rules, and Augusta National clearly has things to follow, and we want to make sure that we follow them the right way. So, the one thing that we talk about is anybody who requests a quote or wants to buy something from us, they're not buying from a website. They're not buying some cookie cutter pre-done package. They're going to get on the phone with one of our experts and really work a way to build from the ground up exactly what they want. So, for any of those people that are interested in attending that golf tournament in Georgia, or anything else, you call us. We can go through it. We can help guide you the right way to make sure that, again, that you're doing it the right way.
is the reoccurring business. Is that something that you guys have developed too? Like, for example, like I've taken a couple golf trips. Most of the time I've used like an Expedia or Priceline or whatever, but I book all my trips through whatever. But if I'm going to put together like a bachelor party or whatever it might be, just like a 3-day golf trip.
Yep.
Are these, because it's an experience, like you said, you're not just doing the golf. It's a little bit of everything. You're kind of giving them the insight of where you should go. Maybe. Do you get a lot of repeat business with that?
Yeah, I'd say that pre-pandemic, I bet about 90% of our revenue was what we call legacy sales. Legacy sales are people that have used us over a 3-year window nonstop, basically. Whether that's somebody who books a US Open tennis package or whether it's somebody taking a golf trip to northwest of Ireland, it's irrelevant. The fact that they come back. Our retention rate, I don't have the exact number, so don't quote me on this. So you can't fact check me.
Oh yeah, no.
But I'm pretty sure it's around 95, 96% of retention.
That's awesome.
Part of that is the way we sell, because we're not selling. We truly believe ourselves to be consultants. And as a result of that, the transparency in that process, it's hard to disappoint somebody who actually knows exactly what's going to happen at every minute of their experience. And I will say our operations team here at All Access does an absolute crazy good job of getting things prepped and going through with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that by the time they get to experience, all they have to do is show up. They don't have to worry about any other details. So as a result, yeah, we retain, again, 95-ish% of our client base, which is what hurt us in the pandemic. You can't repeat clients when they can't do anything.
Absolutely.
So we had to figure out what the hell are we going to do next? And I think that's a real key attribute as to why we've grown so much.
I have a good one. I kind of just thought about it.
What do you got?
Has anybody had a trip that made you jealous? Like you're like, man, I wish I would have done that, or...
Yeah, for sure. Some of them are trips that we could actually build that I haven't done yet. Some of those are trips that I just haven't been invited to yet. So I think there's two categories. We have a trip right now that it's happening October-ish, where I think it's 16 guys are actually being hosted by Steve Elkington in Australia, playing the best of Australia. I mean, they're playing Royal Melbourne. They're playing everything. And I really love my family and don't want my wife to leave. So that is one of those trips that I said I can't do. But I'll tell you, I had a buddy of mine. This was last fall, maybe, had 3 days at Augusta. I'm blessed. I've got to play a lot of wonderful golf courses, and, I'm not a list chaser by any means, but I've played a lot on that list. That one made me jealous.
There's not too many people that get to play that. So
it's one that, I hope that one day I get the phone call. I did get a phone call once on it. It was kind of a soft, could you? And I was actually in Scotland.
Oh, really?
Well, I was in Scotland, so I physically couldn't. So I needless to say, I never heard from that person ever again. So
Waste Management Phoenix Open, that was crazy time this past year, or just actually a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. Yep.
You were there?
I was, yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
Well, first off, the Phoenix Open is, I do events for a living and experiences for a living, and there's nothing that I've done, anything that compares to that. I mean, maybe I don't like soccer, so please, sorry to all the haters that love the game. I hate it, but I went to Chelsea, Liverpool. That was amazing. Like an incredible environment. Believe it or not, doing like a cricket test match is an insane environment. So much fun, but somehow the Phoenix Open is like all those things wrapped in one. It's like the Super Bowl meets Mardi Gras meets a country concert meets NASCAR meets the Masters. It's
all shoved
really,
in.
Yeah, it's really weird. So we have a lot of our existing customers that come down there, and obviously inventory is a huge issue because there's only so many tickets on 16 you can get. But we do everything from, we had hundreds of tee times and the skyboxes on 16 and all that stuff. And a quick funny story. So I had a client of ours who went for the very first time on Saturday. And on Saturday, I wasn't actually in the skyboxes for most of the day. I was actually entertaining at a golf course. And obviously there was the hole in one and people chucking beers and it was madness.
Yep.
So I had yet to meet this client. So on Sunday, I didn't have a big window, but I had about 45 minutes where I hopped over to the golf course just to go meet him and shake his hand and say, thank you for using All Access. So I go up and we literally, it's 10 a.m., something like that, 10:15. And he hands me a beer, I guess, when in Rome.
Yeah.
So we're standing there for 45 seconds. And I told him, I said, you realize that your first time you've ever come to the Phoenix Open, you saw a hole in one. It was insane. Like that absolute mayhem. He's like, yeah, it was unbelievable. And as he says that, we're literally sitting right against the rail. We're about 20 yards short of the green. So I was probably, 30 yards in real distance from the green.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard the crowd start, coming, to a crescendo, so to speak. And I look over and the ball goes in on Sunday for the second. The second hole in one happened on Sunday. So I looked at him, he looked at me, and this is a CEO of a huge business. I've met this man for 45 seconds and we looked at each other awkwardly. And then we both just chucked our beers onto the golf course. It was insane. And I basically said to the guy, I'm like, you realize that you're 2 for 2. Next year you're going to have a lot of pressure on you. And I will tell you, it was the easiest sale I've ever made. Fact that guy was coming back was, a layup, but I've never seen anything like it. And the coolest thing about all of it is that they had people ready to clean it up. They had it clean within 5 minutes.
It's like a crew in NASCAR.
It was insane. It was a pit crew. They have a pit crew picking up beers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was intense.
Next year is going to be even more insane, right? The Super Bowl is in Arizona.
Yeah. It was there now. Gosh, I don't know. The pandemic's got my time frames all messed up. Like 4 or 5 years ago, the Super Bowl was there obviously at the same time. The Phoenix Open always ends up being, on Super Bowl Sunday is when it ends. So yeah, next year is going to be crazy. The biggest issue with next year is the hotel costs. Whenever the NFL is coming into town, hotels feel as if they can charge an extra 50%, if not more. So we're actually helping clients do private homes, private accommodations next year a lot instead of going the traditional hotel route. But yeah, it's going to be insane. It's always insane. And to think it can actually even amp it up a little bit more is kind of terrifying.
I know. Non-golf related, what's probably your best experience other than golf? So like whether you said you did some.
Oh yeah. That's a good question. Any Grand Prix. I'm not a F1 guy by any means, but man, the F1 in Austin, there's a new F1 coming into Miami. There's one in
Tampa, correct?
I don't even know if there's one in Tampa. I know there's Miami.
I think there's one in Tampa because that's one I wanted to go to just because I have family in Tampa. Yeah, it's always around spring break.
Okay. There's one out Long Beach that they do as well. But the one that really stands out, obviously the Grand Prix of Monaco is insane, but that's really a billionaire's playground. And I clearly have I don't belong there. But the one in Montreal is exceptional, but the Derby is exceptional. But I'm a basketball guy. So for me, a Final Four, the seating sucks at a Final Four. They shouldn't have 80,000 people watching a basketball game. It's just, there's no good seats, but it's hard to beat the environment of a Super Bowl. So I'd say that's probably 1A, of the Final Four. That's a 1A. And then 1B would probably be an Olympics. The grandeur and the scale of an Olympics is overwhelming. And I don't care if you're not a fan of gymnastics or equestrian or all the other sports that you don't care about. It's incredible. So doing an Olympics is pretty special.
Okay. I didn't even think about that.
So it's not Tampa, it's St. Pete, which is like Tampa's ugly cousin.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It's
make some friends in St. Pete, buddy. Good job.
Yeah.
Well, my cousin used to live there and then they moved to Tampa. Now they're outside of Tampa. I don't need to go to St. Petersburg. I did a fishing trip there. That was the extent of my St. Petersburg.
Yeah. If you're going to do an F1 in the States, I think Miami and Austin would be the two that are really primo. They're doing the F1 in Miami. I think it's the first time ever they're doing it coming up this year. And it's going to be exceptional. I mean, obviously all events in Miami are pretty solid.
I was going to ask you one other question. As far as like the other events, are most of those business related, or do just like, let's just say like there was like maybe a group of 4 people that were trying to get Super Bowl tickets or whatever it might be.
Yeah. It's a question we hear every day. No, we don't just sell to big corporates that spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars doing these events. We sell to the average Joe too. The beautiful thing about what All Access does and how we've tried to, be a little bit different than the existing models of this type of business is that we can sell to anybody, whether it's, a handful of guys on a strict budget who really want to get to the Phoenix Open and can only do general admission tickets and a public golf course tee time, or whether it's a guy flying his PJ there who wants to, be on 16 and only play the best of the best of the best. Irrelevant. Not only has golf made a big push, for the inclusion stuff, we don't want to just sell the. There's a lot of really good BMWs out there too, so you don't have to just go straight to the Bugatti. I mean, I'd love to go straight to the Bugatti, but
right, yeah, jump right to. So if I wanted to maybe fine wine my wife and a wedding anniversary, private jet and all that, that's something you guys can accommodate then.
You name it. I mean, literally, one of the mantras of the company is that we will do as much or as little as a client requires. And we do have guys that require a private jet, and the most expensive this and the celebrity appearance from that person. And but we also have people who are, flying coach on JetBlue, and they're banging out a $79 round of golf somewhere, and they just want to have an experience. So, the way that we look at it is we can sell to anybody. And who's to say that the guy that's spending, a smaller average size deal for us today, what they're going to do in 10 years. So, we're not going to build a business to what we want to and scale it the way that we want to, by not being able to sell to most people.
So obviously, like, I'm jealous of everybody who does a trip, and now I kind of want to go on a trip.
FOMO is a real thing, man. I'm telling you.
Trust me, I know.
I have it look, I send people on trips for a living and I don't get to go on 99% of them. I live in a state of FOMO.
So we were talking about how, people want to spend money because of, COVID and everything. Obviously there are a lot of people that are trying to save money because of COVID and, penny to penny, stuff like that. Are there like financing ways you guys are financing offers where you could pay a certain amount per month type of deal, or is it all just kind of here's the price?
Yeah, we've never done that. The way that it generally works though is that you pay a 50% deposit to actually book the experience, and then depending on how in advance you book it, the remaining balance isn't due until about 90 days. Mm-hmm. So for example, you guys talked about going to Scotland. One of the best trips you can do in Scotland, because you have to avoid the old course for a couple of years. You're just not going to get on unless you pay through the nose. So, but you can go play Troon, Turnberry, Prestwick on the West Coast. You can go up north and play Dornoch, Castle Stewart, Cruden Bay, Royal Aberdeen. You can go south of Edinburgh and play Gullin, Muirfield, and North Berwick, which North Berwick is my absolute favorite round of golf outside of America. You can do a Scottish trip like that. And if you wanted it, that's 2023. So you're paying a deposit now and paying the rest of it 90 days before you travel.
Got it.
Do you have like a piece of advice that you might want to give our followers or our listeners? Something business related or golf related, just anything in general that you've learned?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to, I'm not an expert on a lot of things, but I'm pretty good at this whole experience thing. The best advice I have for somebody now is, first off, plan way in advance. If you want to think about a trip in 2023, you should have already done most of the work for it. So call and rely on somebody else's expertise. Whether you call us, I'd love you to, but don't try to do this yourself to save money. You're not going to save money. And what you're going to end up doing is making a logistical, like fatal blow. You'll book the wrong logistics and you'll end up 5 hours away from a place you're supposed to be. And, you think, well, I looked on a map, I can figure it out. It's too nuanced for that. So you're not going to pay a lot of extra money to use us because we buy better than you could. So we can make our money in that gray area.
That's a good point.
So use an expert, plan very, very far in advance, and avoid the old course because what it will do is it will taunt you and say, play me, come here and see me. And you can't. So that's why for the next 2 years, you should be looking at going to Ireland instead of Scotland. That's the advice I give you.
Aberdeen's on my bucket list. So that's just why I wanted to go to Scotland.
Aberdeen is crazy good. Royal Aberdeen is an amazing golf course, but not to get into politics. So please don't, get at me, anybody listening to this. Trump International in Aberdeen is absolutely spectacular.
Okay.
It is a new age golf course and it's a little bit tricked up. So some of the purists will say it lacks the character of a Turnberry or the old course or Muirfield, and it does. But my God, is it fun? It's super dynamic and really fun.
Are those courses? If you're planning for 2023, you shouldn't have any issue with getting on any of those kind of courses.
No, right now, 2023 is basically pre-booking. The quote books aren't open for tee times there yet. So to have a chance of 2023, basically what you want to do is you want to book it with us now. So when the books are opening, we're standing there with a checkbook saying we have this group for these days. We have this group for these days. So yeah, right now, 2023, pretty much everything's in play. I just try to steer everybody away from the old course for now, not because they shouldn't play it. It's Mecca of golf. It's spectacular. But realistically speaking, that's a 2024 and on move. There's so many other good golf trips you can do. There's 3 golf trips in Scotland you can do. There's 4 golf trips in Ireland you can do. The second best golf trip that I've ever done is not in Ireland or Scotland. It's in England. Okay. South of London, you can play 5 world top 100s within like an hour and a half of each other. The best 36-hole day of golf I've ever had in my life is at Sunningdale, just south of London.
Okay. Sunningdale
is... It's other level, man. Sunningdale, Walton Heath, Swinley Forest, St. George's Hill, Royal St. George's, where the Open was last year, and Royal Cinque Ports. That's 7 world top 100s, all within about 3 hours.
What's the craziest golf story that you've had?
Oh God.
I have 2. I have 2 questions. One was that question. I put you on the spot. I know you talked.
No, I'm good. I'm good with it. I'll come up with something that I'm allowed to say on the air too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fire away.
Craziest golf story. We alluded to it earlier. One of the craziest stories I've heard. My good buddy. This is super name droppy, so I apologize in advance. But my good buddy Jeremy Roenick, obviously Hall of Fame hockey superstar. Really good golfer, like super annoyingly good at golf. He has a story. He was at Bay Hill playing in an event, and there may or may not have been some adult beverages being consumed.
couple of 13, 14s maybe.
Yeah, it got aggressive from what I gather. And Jeremy was, there was a gator up, like kind of sunning himself right on the bank of one of the Bay Hill ponds or whatever. So Roenick got his camera on his phone out, and you should YouTube this. For anybody listening, go on YouTube and type in Jeremy Roenick trying to tackle a gator, and it will pop up.
Definitely hitting that up right after.
So he's got a buddy. He's got a buddy holding his camera, and he's like, "Come on, come closer." And the buddy's like, "No, you're gonna grab me and throw me on the gator." Like the guy was scared Roenick was gonna do something. So no, he's like, "No, I'm just gonna go tackle it." So he literally like dives on the ground to try to tackle a gator. So the gator obviously jumps in the water. So I guess after the round, they're all in the men's grill at Bay Hill, and they're at a big table, and they're having some beers. And I guess Arnold Palmer walks in, and like the king walks in, and the whole room knows that he walks in. And I guess he walks up and he puts his hands on the shoulder of a guy sitting across the table from Roenick, and he leans over and he says, "Hey, hockey boy." And I said, the story could stop now. The fact that the king called you hockey boy is amazing. But he said, "Leave my fucking gators alone." All of them are terrified out there. And Roenick was like, and he obviously busted out laughing. He was just having a piss at him. But him getting scolded by Arnold Palmer about trying to tackle one of his gators is pretty solid.
It's a tough story. Yeah, it's tough golf story to beat, I think.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, most of the other ones are probably not allowed to tell.
Save for those.
We have a lot of fun stories, but I mean, there's so many good caddy lines and so many holes and so many just little snapshots. And that's the one thing that sticks out, right? Is that we get to have these experiences. I remember these moments distinctly. I remember the first shot I hit on number 9 at County Down. Like that first time you play that hole I'm not that golf nerdy, and it was overwhelming. I'll never forget it. So there's so many of those. There's obviously some fun drunken stories. Oh, yeah. But one of the other stories that always stands out, and I'll be quick, sorry. No. We went on a run. It was a couple summers ago, pre-pandemic. We played, from Marion to Pine Valley to National Golf Links in Shinnecock. And we went to Fisher's Island, Wingfoot,
all top level golf.
Yeah. Riviera, LACC, Bel Air. I mean, it was Muirfield Village and Scioto. And we did something like 20 world top 50 golf courses. And at the end of it, people were asking like, what the hell, like, what do you remember most about it? And what I remember most about it is, the amount of money that J.R. Smith buys in swag at pro shops. And you guys probably saw when he went to Pine Valley. I don't know how much he spent. I'm not going to put his, but
put him on the spot.
It was aggressive. And I mean, I think that, he probably would have chosen different path now. But we started a hashtag for a little while that no pro shop is safe. We're big fans of swag, and seeing him like a kid, on Christmas morning, walking into these pro shops, that was a pretty fun experience. And it was funny too. I go back to these places. Nobody remembers me. They just remember that I was the guy with JR
Smith.
And like, where is he? Like, we need the pro shop to, pump up some more sales.
That's awesome. I know you were talking about JR Smith, and you guys recorded some, you said 5 episodes.
Yeah. So, JR and I one day were just, we talk a lot and just geek out about golf and, what are we doing next kind of thing. And one day we said we should actually just record this. And then that turned into, we should record it, turn it into a podcast, and then maybe invite some of our, I say our celebrity friends, but clearly he's got a few more than me. And just talk golf and, kind of barbershop meets the pro shop. So one day we went and literally banged out 5 episodes. We interviewed some great guys, my buddy Bryce Petty, obviously former quarterback for the Jets and played at Baylor. My father-in-law, Kerry Fraser, for any hockey nuts out there, they'll know him. Jeremy Roenick, and Ray Allen, came on the show. So we did it for fun. And obviously got some great feedback, but that's when JR decided to go back to school. And obviously, play golf at North Carolina A&T, which, to tell you how proud I am of what he's doing and, the push he's doing for golf and for himself, it's fantastic to see and to hear about. But anyhow, so we put it on pause, but we are coming out with it will be on a streaming channel. It will be launched late August of this year. And we will be doing 8 episodes of basically our version of a pro shop meets a barbershop. We'll get some of celebrity friends and athletes and some actors and some folks, and we're going to go to their home courses, play some golf, have a beer or two, smoke a cigar, and talk about golf experiences and why golf. And the perspective of why golf is so different for every person that question just starts an entire show, right? You can just say, why did you start playing golf? And it's different for everybody, but it's what brings us all together. So that's a really cool part of what the show is going to be.
It sounds fantastic. J.R. Smith is such a talented person too. I mean, obviously a champion, NBA champion, athlete,
two-time NBA champ.
And now he's going back to college. He's playing golf on a collegiate level, and he just, the game is, we talked about before, is evolving. It's growing. And like you said, you weren't really big into golf before the travel. It's just funny how big the golf community is, but how small it feels, right? It's like so many people can connect. And I think that show is going to be fantastic.
I appreciate it. It's funny to me that the perspective that golf gave me is that I'm friends with people that I would have never, ever, ever been friends with had it not been for chasing that little stupid white ball around the golf course. Literally people that are the polar opposite in most parts of their life, but we love and respect that game so much that it does bring people together. And, it's really, really cool, of seeing the inclusion, the change in style. I know you guys can't actually see me, but like I'm wearing Grayson because I love the Grayson stuff. I wear nothing but Jordan or Nike golf shoes. The East Side golf hoodies.
Those are so sweet. I love those.
A guy with a gold rope chain hitting a driver. I mean, what's better than that? So the fact that golf is becoming cool, and it's being more inclusive. The fact that a guy like JR is bringing such recognition to HBCUs, to college golf, to programs and people that may not have seen it otherwise. That's all great. It can do nothing but positive things for the game that we all love.
Yep, I agree. Ryan, I appreciate your time. We would love to have you back on. Maybe even like I said, J.R. Smith, if you find some time, we can try to get something before or after your show premieres.
Yeah, I would love to try to get on. Obviously, he's a little harder to pin down than me.
No, absolutely. Not to try to put him on the spot.
We'd love to do it. Look, the fact is we're all fighting the same fight here. We want to spread and talk about the game that we love. And I appreciate y'all having me on. I always, I've been on a bunch of different pods and things. And I always tell everybody, I apologize. I ramble. I get excited. So I'm sorry that I yipped your ear off the entire time, but I love this shit, man. I talk about it all day, every day, and I love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We appreciate it. Again, no, we are the same boat. We love to talk. And that's kind of the reason why we started the podcast, to give other people a platform to see how they can grow the game and how they've adapted. And so I appreciate it. And again, we should definitely link up again. And we're definitely going to use All Access though. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. Hey man, anybody come reach out at us. The Instagram is at All Access GTE. You can feel free to hit me up directly at Argano33, RGANO33. Go to the website, which is allaccessgte.com. And feel free, man. We want to help. We want to help everybody do and knock the bucket list trips out of there and knock experiences. And it's not just Ireland and Scotland. We do domestic stuff too. Whistling Straits and Pebble Beach and Pinehurst and Stream Song.
Oh, yeah. You have one for Sawgrass.
Yeah, Sawgrass. I mean, bring a lot of golf balls, man. This place is freaking hard.
That's my dream hole is 17.
Par 3.
Yeah. We talked about the waste management. So I'm like 16. No.
17 at Sawgrass is, I mean, for 132 yards or whatever it plays.
I am perfectly happy donating a dozen balls into the water just to get it on that green.
I think on a given day, they only let you hit 3. I think they literally let you pin up 3 of them. You're gonna hosel rocket one into the crap. You're gonna pull one, and it's tough. But
Ryan from All Access told me that I could hit 5.
There you go. Just tell him Ryan said so, and then when they escort you off the course and you don't get to play 18, just don't come yell at me.
I will. Thanks again, Ryan. Appreciate your time, bud.
No worries, guys. Thanks.
Take care.